Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.dev, and what I want to talk about today is making your portfolio. So the point of this video is to kind of show you for like a junior developer who's making like their first portfolio, who's probably like familiar with React, but not necessarily like, we're not talking about like 2, 3 years experience and plus. Um, a good approach to building a skeleton for a good portfolio. So again, I'm not going to necessarily get into like every bit of styling. Okay, as far as making this portfolio your own visually, that's going to be sort of up to you. The question I'll often get is like, okay, well, should I use things like Bootstrap and Materialize CSS libraries? Those are fine. Although the way I would think about it is the more you want to be specifically a front-end developer, the more sort of like of you should be in the code of the site. Okay. Um, it should be reflective of sort of your ability at the time. So more of your own CSS. Now, if you're looking for a job as a backend developer, then you can lean very heavy on those libraries because it's a little bit less important for the role. Although being good at using the libraries is a skill in itself and a skill you would want to demonstrate. So having a mix is not a bad thing. But if you're a backend dev, then it's going to be more about sort of like the things you point to, showing like APIs you've built, databases you work with, stuff like that. Okay, less so than sort of like the visuals of the page. Although you always want to make sure it doesn't have to be like this beautiful piece of art, but it has to be good enough that people can go in there, uh, not feel like the colors, basically basic, hey, the colors aren't inaccessible, the spacing isn't weird looking, like there isn't anything that's like off-putting. Okay, it doesn't have to like spark the imagination per se, but it doesn't have to be, it shouldn't be off-putting. And two, it should be make it easy to find the information they're looking for, which is particularly information about sort of what you do and what you can do. But basically, we'll sketch out a lot of like sort of the informational pieces and just sort of also ways to make the site more maintainable. So that's the kind of purpose of the video, just to build a skeleton of a portfolio that then you can style and kind of make your own. Okay, so we're gonna do this in React. Now, ideally, as you get more advanced, if you get really comfortable with React, I would recommend exploring something like either uh, Gatsby or Astro, particularly Astro, because what they'll generate you is a page that's more pure HTML, which is going to be faster, better search engine optimization. It's going to be a better final product as far as like the actual code you're shipping to the browser. The look won't necessarily be different. It'll just have a better guts. But again, if you're new to React and you've gotten okay with React, then we'll just build a basic React portfolio, and that's kind of the purpose of this particular. And again, the same goes for Vue, Svelte, Solid.js. Same principles apply. You would just apply to the syntax in those libraries, okay, or frameworks. And then again, you could always, for most of them, you can use Astro. So you can use Astro with Vue, Svelte, React. So once you get comfortable with whatever framework you're learning, then graduate to Astro to build your portfolio. You'll be glad you did. And generally for your portfolio, you don't need a backend. Okay, there really isn't much reason to have a backend for your portfolio. Even if you want to be a backend developer, you'd be better off sort of building other projects that need backends, like um, some sort of like user-based website or something like that. The reason being is that none of the information here, is going to be based on user interaction. It's going to be based on information you provide. So we're going to be providing that data to our portfolio via JSON files because we can update those and then let React dynamically generate our site based on those JSON files. So that's going to be sort of the approach we take. So with that, I'm here in VS Code, okay? And again, I'm assuming that you have some familiarity with React and familiarity with VS Code or just any editor, okay? And you have Node installed, okay? If all these things sound foreign to you, then you should learn those things first before you're building your portfolio to be a web developer. Um, cool. So let's do a npx create React app. Actually, let's do this. Let's actually use Vite because Vite is faster. And the way we can use Vite is just doing npm init Vite. Okay, and this will generate a new Vite project. So we do that. It's going to ask us, hey, do you want us to do the thing, and we say yes. It's going to ask you for a project name. So we're going to say, my portfolio, we'll call it. Then it's going to ask you what framework you're using: Vue, React, Preact, Lit, Svelte, okay, whatever you want. Okay, the others I think just generates a generic JavaScript. Then you can add whatever framework you want. So we're going to be using React. Okay, then it's going to ask us how we want to use Java. Do we want to use JavaScript? Do we want to use TypeScript? It doesn't hurt to use TypeScript. Okay, it's a good way to show off. Debating whether I want to use TypeScript today. Um, um, we'll stick to JavaScript just so we can just focus on the actual architecture of the site. And then we're going to use it with SWC. SWC is just going to be a faster way to compile a website. So it's overall with Vite and SWC, it's just going to be a faster developer experience. So as your website gets bigger, you're not waiting for each reload quite as long. So we'll do that. Okay, so that's done generating. I'm going to cd into this new folder, my portfolio. So you can see that folder got created right over here. And then I'm going to run npm install to install all the things. I'm going to pause that while it does that. Okay, that's done installing. What I'm going to do to make this easier is I'm going to reopen my VS Code open folder, and I'm going to open that my portfolio folder. So that's going to be down here, portfolio 2023, my portfolio. So that way VS Code is open to that. That's going to make life a little bit better. Okay, and then I can see there's all my tools and stuff. Okay, package.json. So basically here to run our dev server is going to be npm run dev. Because again, just because this is not create React app, so npm start is going to work the same way. So generally, whenever you use a non-create React template, consult the package.json so you know what are your options. Okay, npm run build is going to work the same way. Preview, not familiar with that. I'm sure there's somewhere where I can get details, but not really important right now. We go in our source folder and it looks just like what we would expect from a JavaScript project, except here we're using JSX files instead of JS files. That's fine. Okay, so we're good to go. Okay, let me just examine the structure of the files. Okay, so that all looks good. Okay, nothing I wouldn't normally expect. Cool. So now a couple of things I'm going to want is I'm also going to want to install styled components. We're going to use that for styling. And I'm also going to install React Router DOM so that we can have like pages, like a page for like our projects, a page for about us, stuff like that. Okay, so we're going to generate a couple folders. So we're going to have a folder for components because we're going to have certain components that are just components that we reuse. I'm going to have a new folder for styled components. So that way the components that we use for styling purposes are going to be different than the components we use for just UI purposes. And then we're going to have a new folder called JSON. We're going to put several JSON files in there. And new folder, oh, here I want to put pages. So to represent the different pages of our website. Okay, wonderful. Cool. Now, first thing we're going to do is just generate the data that our website is going to need to do stuff. Because the idea is that instead of hard coding a lot of the information about our projects, about us, we want to do this where basically I don't have to go back and dig into all this HTML and JSX and JavaScript to just edit basic information of the site. So a simple way we can do this is through JSON files. So we'll create a couple files. We'll have like a file for projects.json. We'll have a file for like about us.json. Also, we're going to take a lot of our CSS, we're going to create a lot of variables for our CSS, and we'll just do it through our JSON because we're going to be using styled components. So basically, we'll be able to take advantage of like JavaScript interpolation to dynamically set our variables. So we can set up a lot of our CSS values in here. So we'll create a new file and we'll call that theme.json. Okay, and that's just going to make our life easier. So let's just kind of sketch out the basics. So like about will look like this. So I'm just going to sketch this out real quick, and then I'll show you the final product. Okay, and then so this would be what your about.json is going to look like. Again, I just put a couple basic properties in there, but you can add as much as you want. Basically, any information you want to add about you. So that way this is something you can import and then use as data throughout your React pages. Okay, so now let's show you like what projects.json should look like. So I'll put that together real quick and show you the final result. Okay, so essentially this file should be an array of projects. So basically it's an array. And then in there you should have one object for each project. So here's just some like dummy data. Okay, so basically you have your image, so that's gonna be the picture that will show on the website for the project, a name for the project, little description of the project, and then a link to where you can find the code on GitHub and a link to the deployed website. That's the kind of information you'd like to give, let people know about the website. The description should include information about like what is the application, what technologies you use to build the application. So that way they can be like, oh, okay, this is an example of them working with Ruby on Rails, or this is an example of them working with React, or whatever. Like, what are they supposed to kind of get from this? Like, don't assume that your audience is going to come to their own conclusions. Guide them to the conclusions you want them to have. But yeah, then I will just kind of create a few of these. Just use the same data a few times. There we go. And there we go. We have a JSON file with our projects. And in the future, if you make more projects, you just add them here. Okay, so you don't have to go like dig around in your JavaScript. You can just add them here. Okay, and then the last is our theme.json. This one we'll do together. So first we want to choose some colors. So a cool tool you can use for colors is this website coolors.com. Okay, let that load. Nope, that's not it. It's coolors.co. Okay, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so we'll click here, start the generator. And then every time you hit spacebar, it's going to give you like a random like color scheme. So you can find one that you like. Okay. And let's go with this. And then what I would do is, again, here in your theme, this is going to be a big object with lots of properties. So we're just going to create a, bunch of theme colors. So color 1. And then we're going to do that for all 5 colors, so that way we have them. And then later on, if you want to choose a different color scheme, you can just switch them out. Just change the colors. Color 3. Color 4. Color 5. Okay, so we'll start with that. And then basically what I would do is I would just click here on the first one, copy the hex value, go over here. So now let me fill those out. Cool. And next what we're going to want to do is maybe add a property for like, fonts. So we're going to say like maybe like, title font and text font. Okay, so to get the values for that, what we're going to want to do is head over to Google Fonts. So it's like fonts.google.com. And then we're going to find, a font for like, what would be good for like titles, so something a little thicker, kind of. So like, again, I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but this would be a good one for titles. So we're going to want to add this to let me just remove this font over here so we can start from scratch. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to click on this here to select that font. And now I'm going to want another font. One that would be good just for like, general text. So look for one that kind of looks, so, let's go with this. This doesn't look too bad. So that looks okay. And you can see how it looks like in paragraph form and whatnot. So that looks fine for me. And I will just choose this version of it. Cool. Okay. And then what you're going to want to do is we want to import it. So see this little add import button? I'm going to click on that and just copy, not the style tag, I'm just going to copy the actual import statement for our CSS file. So in React, you should have this app, or actually we'll use the index.css. I'm going to clear that out. I don't want any of those styling that's built into React, so I'm just going to get rid of all that. I am going to do a couple of things. I'm going to do a quick reset on everything. So I'm going to say, hey, margin 0, padding 0, and box sizing border box. I like to do that because border box, what that does, it makes it where padding and margin uh, aren't adding to your box height or width. It's going to just be included in your box height. So if you say, hey, 500 pixels width with 10 pixels of margin, then the 10 pixels of margin are taken from the 500 pixels of width. They're not added to it, which is adding to it is the default in the box model for CSS. So that just makes it easier to think through like sizing. Okay, so we'll do that. And then I want to make sure I put these fonts in there, and I'll put that there. Okay, so good. So now those fonts are available to me, and I'll be able to use them in my styling. So that's well good to go. Go back over here, and let's see here. What I want to do is I'm going to want to copy the values of that. So it would be like copy this. That's for the title. And then over here, copy this for. Okay, although I probably just kind of want to set those as the default right away, so I'll head back to this index.css. And for the title font, I'll just be like any H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. I'm just going to give them that font family right off the bat. I'm going to go get the Bebas new one. So I'll copy that over here. Just so that way it defaults to that. And then for like p tags, or I'll just say on the body tag, the font family. So essentially what's going to happen is that the body tag is going to default to the main font, and then H1 these titles will go to Bebas new because they're going to be more specific than a body tag. So they should always take priority when I do use a title. So that should work. Make it where that should work out. So now the font is going to be sort of applied globally. Okay, so that's good enough for now. I mean, again, as you need, you can start adding more properties here, like width, the margins, and whatnot. So that way everything can be kind of done from one place. But next thing we want to do is set up router. Actually, we can delay setting up router for now. We might not even need it. But let's just actually start running the server so we can start seeing this evolve. So npm run dev, because we're using the Vite template. So that's running on port 5173 according to this. So that's where I'm going to go. So let's open up localhost 5173. Okay, and there it is. Okay, nice. So now what I want to do is head over to app.jsx, and I'm going to just want to clear this whole thing out. Okay. And the way I'm going to think about this right now is that I'm going to think about it as like two main pages of the website. There's going to be sort of the navigation. There's going to be the section that's just like about me, and then a section that shows my project. So in that case, we really don't need router at this point, unless you want to have these things show up on different pages. Refer to my router videos for that. We'll just do everything as kind of one page. So I'm going to head over the components, create a new file called, we'll call it header.js. Then we'll just start writing a React component. So function header props. Okay. Let's see here. Now I probably do want to import about. So import. Let's see here. Import about from /JSON / about.json. Okay, so that way we have this variable about. That's going to be all the variables in our about.json. And we'll import some styled components in a moment. But I want to export this for default. And let's just return a basic h1 for now. So we'll return a div with an h1 that says my portfolio. Okay, save that. I'm going to head over to our index, our app.jsx, and I'm going to get rid of this. I don't need that. Actually, I'm not going to really need this either. Okay, don't really need that. Just clear out the stuff I don't need. Keep things simple. So we'll just have one CSS file, index.css. In here, I'm going to import header. Okay, and then we can put header in here. Okay, cool. Now let's see what it's complaining about. H1. Fail to parse the contents of invalid JS syntax. Oh, okay, got it. So for Vite, you have to call these JSX files. So rename JSX. Okay, let's see that. Yep, there we go. Okay, so yeah, if you're using the Vite template, you have to call these JSX files. It's not like create React app where you can do JS or JSX. But you can see there the font has taken hold. That's all wonderful. Okay, but now let's make this look better. So now we're going to want to start creating styled components because generally we're going to want to do a lot of our styling in styled components if we can help it. So I'm going to say new file. I'm going to call this header.js. And this is going to have all my styled components that I need for header. Let me think about how that's how I want to do that. That's fine. Okay, so I'm going to import styled from styled components. Okay, now first thing we're going to want is a header tag that's styled. So I'm going to say const header. What can you see? Header container equals a styled dot header. Okay, and then we use backticks, and that's kind of where we write our CSS. And I'm going to want to import theme here, so I'm going to do that. Import theme from // JSON / theme. Okay, so that way I can use those variables. So now the theme, so I'm going to think of like this, like sort of like div that this header is going to be in. What's going to be is like there's going to be the h1 that has the name of my portfolio, and then below it will be a navigation bar. So I don't want to make this a flex box, so we can keep it, as its normal block setup. Then what I want to do is I'm going to want to put some padding. So we'll say like 6 pixels of padding in here. I'm going to want to do a text align center. And let's say we set up a background color. But the background color should be one of our variables. So I'll use string interpolation to interpolate one of the colors from theme. So theme, it will say color 2. And we'll see how that looks. So, and then I want to make sure this is exported. So export. Okay. I'm going to head back to my header component. Components. Where's my components folder? Ah, there it is. Components. Header.jsx. I'm going to import header container. And then I can swap out this div for the header container component that we just created. Okay. And let's see here. Not seeing it fully take hold there. Page, so let me restart the server. Yep, okay, good, it's working. Okay, so you see, like, hey, we use that color. So again, if we go back to what we did here in styled components, you can see that, hey, look, padding, that created our padding, nice. So that's looking pretty good. Okay, I took the color. Now my portfolio, maybe that color should be a little bit a different color. So maybe the color that kind of best contrasts with that would be something like color 4. Okay, because this is color 1, so this must be color 4. So then what we'll do is we'll say, hey, color, which is the font color, will be theme.color4. Okay, and then we go back to the website. That's looking a lot better. Okay, wonderful. Now what's going to happen is we're going to want a navigation bar in there. So that's going to be another container that's going to be right below that h1. So let's create that. Export const nav container equals styled. It's going to be a styled nav tag. Okay. And the styling for this is going to be, this will be a flex box. So display flex. And the cool thing is now I can just change like these colors in theme. If later on I want to change the colors in my portfolio, I just change them in the JSON file, and then this will all sort of reprocess whenever I redeploy. Okay, so display flex. I want, um, I'm going to want the justify content because I want it to be everything that can be spread out, all the links. So justify content. We'll say space around. Okay, and that should be good for now. Okay, and then we'll still add flex wrap just in case. Okay, so now I will go bring that into here. Export, import nav container. And then that's going to go below the h1. So nav container. And here's where I'll put my links. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just put like a bunch of theoretically like a tags. So href equals whatever. I'm not going to put a link right now. This is just like showing you what you would do. And then here would be like a div that says GitHub, which again, I could make another styled component for that. We'll see if we need to. Okay, I'll create a few links. So GitHub, LinkedIn, other links you might want to share is maybe like your Code Wars profile, and some other miscellaneous profile, like let's say your Stack Overflow profile, if you've been answering questions on Stack Overflow. Okay, so that's looking okay, but those links could look better. Okay, so maybe I want to take these A tags and style them, make them like a styled A tag. Okay, so let's go back over here to our styled components and say, okay, export const nav, we'll just say nav link wrapper equals styled.a tag. And basically all I really want to do over here is I want to take off the text decoration. So text decoration none. So that's going to get rid of the underline. I want the color to be back to theme color 4. And let's just kind of implement that for now. So let's just kind of add that first, and then we'll do some more. So I'm going to add import. Okay, and actually technically I could do this. Let's make this a little bit more succinct here. And then also add nav link wrapper. Okay, so that way it's all being imported on one line. And then what I'm going to do is just change a lot of these to nav link wrapper. Nav link wrapper. Okay, and see that's looking a lot nicer. Okay, cool. That's looking pretty nice. Okay, but I might want to do some additional styling on how these like things look. I'll keep the div as is for now, but what I do want to do is make it, hey, when you hover over these, you get some sort of like feedback. So we're going to say, hey, at hover, or not, I mean, and means like this thing. So when you hover over the link, I want the following to happen. I want there to be the color to change. So let's choose one of the other colors that are in there. So let's make it, yeah, let's use the color 3. So it'll change to theme.color3. And then I want the font weight, so that's the boldness, to be, let's say, 800. Okay, so it'll become bold whenever you hover over it. Okay, so you can see there the change in color. Becoming bolder. The color is not taken too well. Let's see. Oh, because I did color 4. I wanted to do color 3. So now, again, let's refresh. And there you see like that deal. Now see, that's looking pretty good. Okay, nice. Okay. Now what we can do is we start working on the next section. Okay. So then the next section is going to be our bio. Okay, so let's just create another component for the bio. New file, bio.jsx. Okay, and we're going to want to import the about stuff again. So, and even though I didn't really use it here, where I would have done is maybe added all the GitHub links, like the links to GitHub, LinkedIn, Avatar over to the about object, and then generate the links here. So that way I don't have to change the links here in the future. I just change them in the JSON file. Okay, so this would look like theme dot or about dot GitHub or something. Okay, so it'd be that would be like the link. Okay, okay, just so you can kind of see how we would use that. Okay, now in the bio, we're going to import that about data again. Here we are going to be using it a little bit more, so we're going to say function bio props return. We're going to have like a div, we'll say. Again, we'll swap these out with styled components afterwards. But we'll just kind of sketch out the basic idea. Okay, we're going to say like h1, and we're going to have our name. So we'll put like about.name. Okay. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna export this, and let's make sure we can see what we've done so far before I get too deep down the rabbit hole. Export default function bio. Let's go back to app. Import bio. Okay, and then put bio under header. Okay, and so we can kind of start seeing it shape up there. Okay, bio. And then we're gonna want like an image tag. So we'll have an image source equals I don't have, we'll say about dot image, as if you want an image of yourself. Okay. I currently don't have that property in my about object, so let me just go get that. Like, let's see here, images.google.com. Let me just look up myself. Okay, that works for me. Copy image address. Good. Okay, and then let's head back over to the about JSON stuff. And we can put like image, and then there we go. Although that's not the right address, so let me try that again. Copy image address. And the way you can tell is that it should have the file extension at the end. Oh, that looks like it might be it. Yeah, okay. We'll see if that works. Okay. So let me go back to bio.jsx. This will be about, and I spelled it out, image. Okay, good. So we are seeing the image, but you can see it's like very large, so we're going to want to do something about that. And then let's see, what else did I have in there? Let's take a look at my about data. I also had a bio and an email. Okay, so we can put that in there. So if I go back to my bio, okay, I still may want to have like an 3, and then here's where we'll put my email, about.email, and then we'll have like a p tag where we'll put about.description. Okay, and then I can see right there. So there's the email. The description isn't showing up, so I may take a look again. Oh, it's bio. Okay, so it's bio, not description. So let me go back over here to bio, and it's about.bio. And then we see the bio down there. But again, this right now looks pretty ugly. But that's always the first step. I can see the stuff the kind in the places that I want to see them, just not looking as good as I'd like to. So next step is to create another styled components. New file, bio.js to create components for our bio, and we're going to import styled from styled components. And then we're going to start off with the overall wrapper. Okay, so we're going to say, export const bio container equals styled, we'll call this section, a styled section tag. Okay, because the bio is a section of the website. But it's not necessarily the main section of the website, so that's why it's not the main tag. Again, they're semantic tags. They're just there to help you communicate to search engines how your website's laid out. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to want to text align the content in here. So let's text align center. Okay, and we'll haven't actually used the thing yet, so let me actually put that over there. So let's import bio container and swap this div out for bio container. Okay, I'm good. We see that it's centered, so we see that this is going to work. Good. Okay, now we're going to want to use a different color for the background. So we used this, the background of the first section. Let's use this as the background. Actually, let's use this as the background for the second section, and then this will be the font color. Okay, so let's go to bio.js. So background color is going to be color theme.color4, but I got to import theme. Theme from /JSON/theme.json. Okay, and then I'm going to want the font color to be color2, theme.color2. Okay, and now if we go back to the main page here, okay, we can kind of see that in action. Okay, that's fine with me. Now I'm going to want that not to take up the full width, so we're going to say width 90%. Okay, and we're going to want a margin. Okay, margin, we'll say auto, so that way it centers that block. Okay, perfect. But like that picture is like too big. It's kind of like, that picture is causing an issue. So we're also going to want like a bio image. So export const bio image equals styled image tag. And we're going to want the image to be, we'll say image or width is always going to be like about 25% of the container. And object, object fit, that's going to be how like the picture fits when the frame that it's in is not big enough. I want it to cover, so that way it'll kind of like crop the picture, but center it tastefully. Okay, so let's apply that so far. So let's go over here and import bio image, and then replace the image tag with that tag, bio image. Okay, and see that's looking a lot better. Okay, but maybe that 25% is maybe not big enough. So now I can go over here and now adjust that further. So let's make this 40%. Okay, and that's pretty good. And now let's kind of give that rounded corners. So we'll say like border radius is, we'll say 60 pixels. Okay, and see that's looking a little bit more aesthetic. Okay, Alex Merced email, and then here's where like the description would be. You can read it like, yay, I'm a developer and I've done these things and all that good stuff. Okay, cool. So there's the bio section of the portfolio website. Again, pretty quickly, people can see like right away, they already know where to find my code. They already know where to find sort of like my LinkedIn. They can see how to contact me and they can kind of learn a little bit about me. And then below that, we'll have our projects. Again, it doesn't have to be something super elaborate. It just has to be something that communicates, that people can get the information they need quickly. Okay, so let's do the next section. So we'll call this projects. So new component, new file projects.jsx. And then here's where we're going to import projects from dot dot slash JSON slash projects.json. Okay. Function projects. Okay, function projects. Okay, and then here basically what we're going to want essentially a div that's a wrapper of all our projects. And then what we're going to want to do is create, a card for each project. Okay, so in that case, again, we'll just kind of sketch these out, but we'll use like projects. Projects is an array, so projects.map. And so for each individual project, we will return a card. Okay, so div. Okay, and then the div should have a key. So let's say key equals project.name. Okay, let this kind of organize that a little bit. Okay. And then each of these should have like, let's say an H3 with the project name. So project.name. Okay, and let's just kind of see if this is working so far. So let me export this, export default function projects. Now let's head over back to app.jsx and import projects. Okay, and right now I don't see anything. I should. So that means something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to console log projects. Open up my DevTools. Okay, yeah, this project.name. So I should be seeing Mario Brothers app. Okay. Yeah, so let me just take a look at the elements. Let me see, do I see it? If I go here, div class app. I see a header, I see a section, but I don't see the additional div. Oh, I see why, because I don't have the word return here. That would be kind of important. Okay, and there we go. Mario Brothers app, Mario Brothers app, Mario Brothers app, and you see like they're not lined up like in a row. Okay, so we're gonna fix all that. But first, let's kind of sketch this out. Then below the name of each one, we would want the image for each one. So source equals, okay, project dot image. Okay. Okay, so you see that Mario Brothers little picture there. Okay, and then below that, we're going to want to see the description. So a p tag for the description. So project dot description. Okay, now do we see it? Yes, you see something about Mario. So there's a description below each picture. And then after that, we'd want to see two buttons. Okay. First button being for like the GitHub. Okay. And actually, really, they're going to be two links. So let me just do it that way. A href equals project.github. This will be the GitHub link. And then it's going to be the same thing for like the deployed website. Okay, and this will be like a live site. And this would be like project.live, which is a link to the deployed site. Okay, so you can see like, hey, there's these two links right there at the bottom. We'll make all that look a lot nicer. Okay. But essentially, you're starting to see kind of where this is going. Okay, so now I need to go back and create styled components for this component. So new file, and here we'll have our styled components for projects.js. And then again, I'm going to import theme from /JSON/theme.json. I'm going to import styled from styled components. Okay, wonderful. And basically now what I'm going to do is first do the container. So first which should be a flexbox. So we're going to say projects container. So export const projects container, which is going to equal a style, not containers, container equals a styled div. Just be a div. Actually, yeah, div's fine. We could do a section tag again. Why not? Okay. So it's a styled section tag. And the styles we want to apply to this section tag is one display is going to be flex. Definitely we're going to want flex wrap on this. So as you add more projects, it'll just wrap. Okay, we're going to want some padding of, we'll say 10%. Okay, justify content. How we're going to space this all out. I'm going to want space around. As far as how we space it. Let's start with that. Okay. And then actually we should kind of give it a background color. So let's see here. This one, we'll give this color. So we'll say background color. Color theme dot color 2. Okay, we'll come back to deal with fonts, but let me just get over here. Let's import projects container. So that's imported. Let's replace the div that contains this whole thing with projects container, because see, it contains projects, not just a single project. Okay. And let's take a look how that is affecting things. Looks like that froze again. So I'm going to close that. Then I'm going to shut off the server and turn it back on. And go back to localhost 5173. Okay, yeah, so we start to see that. So look, yay. Now again, because of the wrap, it's still going to each row because that picture is so big. So we still have a little bit more work to do here. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I want to fix that picture because that picture is making things, well, yeah. Actually, first we need to do the card. So export const project card. So that's like the container for an individual project. So we'll make that a styled div. Okay, and then each of these should have a width of, we'll say 30%. So that way they can be up to like 3 per row. Okay, but you know, eventually like you want to have a min width because you don't want it to be super small on a mobile screen. So on a mobile screen, we'll say like minimum width, let's say 290 pixels. So that way, like on the smallest screen, you'll generally have one on top of each other, but they'll still take up most of the width. Minimum width. And let's start with that. Projects. So let's import project card. So again, that's a container for each individual project. So that's this div here. project card. Okay, and then we want to take care of that image because that image sizing is still screwing everything up. So I'll head back over here and create like export const project image equals a styled image tag. And then we'll say, hey, width is we will go with go with 250 pixels. Okay, 250 pixels. And then we'll give it a little bit, make it a little border radius, give it rounded corners. So that'll be, we'll say 40 pixels, and then let's bring that in. So project image, replace the image tag with our project image component. Okay, and see that's looking a bit better. Okay, so right now again, still so narrow. Like if I make this full screen, now you're starting to see them all like next to each other again, but still not quite what we would like. So let's try to make this a little bit better. So first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to center all that text. So I can do that from here in the project card. So text align center. Okay, that's a little bit better. Now we want to put a little space between these cards. So margin, let's put like 10 pixels. So that way it's not so claustrophobic. Let's give it a border so that way each card stands out a little bit more. So border, we'll say like 3 pixels, solid, and then choose one of these colors. We'll use color 3. Theme.color 3. Okay, nice. And then let's actually put a background color on the card. Background color. And we'll say theme.color 1. See how that looks. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay, although we probably want to round those corners a little bit. Border radius. We'll say 20 pixels, not too much. Yeah, that's looking nicer. Okay, but everything's kind of a little like still claustrophobic on the inside, so we probably need some padding. So padding, we'll say 10 pixels. Okay, so that's starting to look a little bit nicer. That font color, that contrast doesn't really work very well, so let's change the color. So color will be theme.color 4. Okay, so see that's starting to look a lot more readable. Okay, nice. Okay, we're starting to get somewhere. Now if I make this big, okay, you're starting to see kind of like where this is kind of going. Okay, only thing I can think of that we probably would like to add is here in projects. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create another div that surrounds this. Or I should have put somewhere to put a title, which I didn't do. Okay, well theoretically I probably would have planned this out better so I could put like an H1 that says projects here. Like I can still go back and refactor it to do that, but I'm not going to right now because I want to finish up these cards. Okay, so I want to get those buttons, those links to look a little bit better. So let's do like export const project link equals style.image, not style.image, style.a tag. And we're going to give these sort of like a width of 40%. Okay, then we're going to want to have a padding, let's say 6 pixels. Font weight, we're going to want it to be nice and bold, so 800. um, we are going to want to have a differentiating color. So we're going to say background color. Background color is going to be theme color 4. That's a light color. And then the font, or the color of the font, will be theme color 2. Okay, let's just see how this is looking so far. So let me just go over here, bring this one in. So project link, and then change the A tag to a project link, both of these A tags. So project link. Okay. Okay, so we're starting to get somewhere, but you can kind of see how it's like overlapping with that, so that's not good. So let's create some margin. Margin 6 pixels. That way everything's kind of like separated from it. Okay, but that p tag's still not separated from it. I don't like that. Oops, click that. I didn't mean to click that. Okay, so then let's also change this to a block. Display block. So that way they get treated as just another block in there. Okay, now they're becoming too. Maybe I don't want to do that. I could wrap them in another container, but I'd rather not. Okay. Okay. Now, what I'm going to want to do is just make them look a little bit more. Just one text decoration. None. I'm going to want the font size to be, let's say, 1.1 EMs, just a little bit bigger. Nice. Okay, let's round up those corners. Border radius, say 20 pixels. Round them up. Yep, that's looking a lot better. Okay, and then we want to make it, hey, when you hover over them, you can kind of tell that they're linked. So, and hover. And basically we'll just say, we're going to switch these two around. Okay. So this will be 4 and 2. Okay, so see, that's looking good. Now we just need to fix that p tag. So let me just take a look at how this is set up. The p tag is right there. So we just kind of need to create some room with that p tag. So I'm going to have to try to create something for that. Export project description, which is going to, that's const project description, and that's going to equal a styled p tag. And I'm going to want margin of, let's say, 6 pixels. Let's just start off with that. Project description, and let's replace that p tag with the project description. Does that help at all? It helps a little bit. Okay, I am probably going to have to create a container for those links. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. We'll call it const export const project link container equals a styled div. And it's just another div that has like flex. Display flex. Okay, margin auto, so that way it's centered. Justify content. I want those buttons centered, so go back over here and say project link container. Okay, and then basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap these two links in this project link container. project link container. Take that closing tag, put it around the links. Okay, save. Okay, now we got it. Now that's looking better. So you can see here, Alex said, I may want to play with the font here, make that look a little bit bigger. Okay, maybe make a max height on that image because that's still probably too big. So, I'd go over here to like bio.js and say, hey, for the bio image, maybe do it like a max height or a max width and make it like 400 pixels. Okay, so that way it's like that's a little less obnoxiously huge. But yeah, and again, you can continue tinkering around with it from there. But essentially, you have a portfolio that kind of links to the places you need to link to, um, and so forth. And you just play with it from here until you get it where you like it. But my name is Alex Merced. Hopefully, this helps you into sort of getting started and building a skeleton for you to build your portfolio website with. My name is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.dev. Have a great day and enjoy.